My fiancée told me she was keeping her apartment just in case after we married. I said, smart move. Then I canceled the dream house we were buying together and signed a bachelor pad lease. Her realtor's call the next morning flipped everything upside down. My fiancé and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for 1, and knee-deep in wedding planning. We were house hunting too, building what I thought was our future together. Then, over dinner one night, he dropped a line that made my blood run cold. He casually said, "I'm keeping my apartment after we marry, just in case. Just in case." Those 3 words echoed in my head like a fire alarm. What did he mean, in case our marriage failed? In case I wasn't enough? I asked him to clarify, and he shrugged. You know, it's smart. If things don't work out, I'll have a backup place. No stress. He said it like he was talking about keeping an old jacket, not planning for the collapse of our marriage. I didn't argue. I didn't blow up. Instead, I forced a smile and said, smart thinking. But inside, a storm was brewing. I'd been picturing a life together built on trust. Here he was planting escape hatches before the wedding vows were even spoken. The cruel irony? We had just found our dream home, a gorgeous 3-bedroom with a little garden, perfect for starting a family someday. We had toured it twice, already imagining furniture placement, already talking about paint colors. That night, when he went to bed, I opened my laptop. I typed up a polite email to the realtor. Unfortunately, I need to withdraw my offer. My finger hovered over the send button for a moment, then I clicked. Just like that, the dream home was gone. But I wasn't done. I drove downtown the next morning and signed a lease on a sleek bachelor pad. Wasn't huge, but it was modern, minimal, and completely mine. If he wanted to keep his apartment just in case, then I'd have my own fallback too. I didn't tell him a word. I acted like nothing had happened. But I knew the truth would hit him soon. And when it did, I wanted to see how he handled it. Sure enough, the first crack showed up sooner than I expected. That morning, as he was leaving for work, his phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit up with his realtor's name. He ignored it, kissed me goodbye, and walked out the door. Later that afternoon, while I was in a meeting, my phone rang. It was his realtor, apparently unaware that I'd been the one to pull the plug. She cheerfully asked if I could confirm why the house deal had suddenly collapsed. I leaned back in my chair, smirking to myself. The trap was already working. That evening, when I walked through the door, my fiancé was sitting on the couch, pale and tense. He looked up at me with narrowed eyes and said, "We need to talk." He sat there on the couch, arms crossed, tension radiating from him like static electricity. His jaw was tight, and I could tell this wasn't going to be a calm conversation. He didn't even wait for me to set my bag down. "Why did you cancel the house?" he asked flatly. His tone wasn't confused. It was accusatory, like I'd sabotaged him. His realtor must have filled him in. The silence stretched between us, heavy and sharp. I tilted my head, pretending to be surprised. "Cancel the house? Oh, you mean the dream home we toured? The one we were supposed to share?" My voice was calm, but every word carried weight. He flinched. He leaned forward, his voice rising. "Yes, that house. We agreed it was perfect, and now the realtor says the deal is dead." "What were you thinking?" His frustration spilled over, but I didn't blink. I met his eyes and smiled faintly. "I was thinking about how smart it is to have a backup plan. Isn't that what you said about your apartment, just in case?" My words landed like stones. His mouth opened, then shut. He tried to recover, shaking his head. "That's different. Keeping my place is logical. It's not emotional. Canceling the house is throwing away our future over nothing." His defense was weak, and he knew it. I walked over, dropped my bag on the table, and folded my arms. "So you can keep your apartment as a safety net. I can't reconsider a house that would have tied me to someone who's already planning for failure." "Explain how that works." His eyes narrowed. "You're being dramatic. Every smart couple keeps options open." The arrogance in his tone made my stomach turn. He really believed what he was saying. I shook my head. "No. Smart couples build trust, not escape routes. I wanted a husband, not a roommate, who keeps one foot out the door." My voice was steady, but inside, I was burning. He stood, towering over me, frustration painted across his face. "So what? You're punishing me? We'll just ruin everything because I want security?" His words were sharp, but I noticed something else. Fear behind his anger. I stepped closer, my voice low. I'm not punishing you, protecting myself. If you're already halfway out the door, I need to make sure I'm not left with nothing when you walk through it. For the first time, he faltered. His shoulders sagged slightly, his bravado slipping. He muttered, "It's not like that. You're twisting it." But he wouldn't meet my eyes. I let the silence hang, heavy and suffocating. Then I leaned back, smirk tugging at my lips. Funny thing, though, signed my own lease this week, a nice bachelor pad, clean, modern, mine. Just in case. His face drained of color. His mouth opened like he wanted to argue, but no words came. He knew he'd been checkmated. I turned and headed for the kitchen, tossing back casually. Guess we're both smart thinkers, huh? Behind me, the silence was deafening. The silence that followed my words stretched like a rubber band about to snap. His face was pale, his jaw clenched so tight I thought he might break a tooth. He wasn't used to being caught in his own logic. Finally, he found his voice. "You signed bachelor pad lease without telling me?" His tone was somewhere between disbelief and outrage. He sounded less like and more like a landlord scolding a tenant. I leaned against the counter, cool as ice. "Yep, it's clean, modern, and most importantly, it's mine, just in case." I repeated his own phrase back to him, watching the realization hit like a punch to the gut, his hands curled into fists. "That's ridiculous. Couples don't do that. You're undermining everything we've been working for." His voice cracked on the last word. For the first time, he looked less angry and more desperate. I tilted my head, studying him. Funny. That's exactly how I felt when you insisted on keeping your apartment. But when I make the same move, suddenly it's betrayal. My words sliced through his excuses. He started pacing, muttering under his breath. "This isn't the same. It's not." I didn't mean he cut himself off, but the damage was done. His contradictions were laid bare, and he knew it. "Not the same," I interrupted sharply. "Of course it's the same. You wanted insurance? I wanted insurance. The difference is, I actually followed through. And now you're angry because I'm not trapped by your terms." He stopped pacing, turned, and glared at me. "So what now? You think we can just play house in separate places until one of us gives up?" His voice was bitter, sharp, but underneath it was something else. "Fear," I shrugged, pretending to consider it. Maybe we admit this marriage was doomed the second you started planning for its failure. Either way, I'm not the one scrambling." The words stung, and he knew it. For the first time, his bravado cracked. He rubbed his forehead, sighing heavily. "I didn't want this. I needed to feel safe. After my last breakup, I swore I'd never be blindsided again." I softened my tone, but only slightly. "I get that. But if you can't trust me enough to build a life without an exit door, then you're not ready for marriage. That's not safety, it's sabotage." He swallowed hard, eyes darting away. He hated hearing the truth out loud. But before I could push further, his phone buzzed on the table. He glanced at it, hesitated, then snatched it up. His face twisted as he read the message. "It's from my realtor," he muttered, voice flat. Then louder. "She says the house went under contract this morning. It's gone. Someone else bought it." The reality hit him like a wrecking ball. Our dream house wasn't just paused, it was gone forever. His face went slack, and for once he had nothing to say. I watched him crumble, silent, knowing this was only the beginning. He sank into the couch like a man who'd just lost a war. His phone slipped from his hand onto the cushions, the realtor's message glowing like a death sentence. "It's gone," he whispered, staring at nothing. "House is gone." I folded my arms, keeping my voice steady. "Yes, because I canceled the offer. I told you when you kept your apartment, I wasn't going to throw away my money on a dream you clearly didn't believe in. That was my move." His head snapped toward me, eyes wide with disbelief. "You did this? You're the reason it's gone?" His voice cracked with a mixture of anger and betrayal, like a child who just realized his toy was taken away. I didn't flinch. "Yes, I did. I wasn't going to build a life on shaky ground. You wanted your safety net, so I made sure I had mine. Don't look at me like I destroyed something we both did." He ran his hands through his hair, pacing again. "You blindsided me. Do you have any idea how this looks to my parents? To our friends, I told them we were getting that house. His voice rose with each word, as though the embarrassment stung worse than the actual loss. I couldn't help but laugh, bitter and sharp. So that's what this is about, your reputation? Not us? Not the marriage? You're worried about explaining to your parents why you wouldn't gamble half her? Savings on a husband who didn't even trust her? That hit home. His face flushed red. You don't understand. My dad warned me about this. He said you were too independent, too calculated, and now you've proved him right. The irony made me shake my head. Funny because my dad warned me about you, too. He told me never to marry someone who was half in and half out, someone who was already planning their escape before the vows. Seems like he was right, too. The tension thickened, the words hanging in the air like smoke. He opened his mouth, closed it again, then stormed into the kitchen. I heard a cupboard slam, then another. He was unraveling. When he finally returned, a glass of water trembling in his hand, he looked smaller somehow. So what now? He muttered. We just live separately until we crash and burn. I leaned forward, locking eyes with him. No. What happens now depends on you. Either you admit that marriage requires trust, real trust, or you keep clinging to your apartment in your fear. But if that's your choice, don't expect me to stay. His phone buzzed again, this time louder, insistent. He snatched it up, glanced at the screen, and groaned. It's my mother, he said, voice thick with dread. Already heard about the house. I raised an eyebrow. Good. Then maybe she'll finally hear the truth, too. He stared at me, stricken, as the phone kept buzzing in his hand. The fallout was no longer just between us. It was about to spill into our families. He finally answered the call, pressing the phone to his ear. Hi, Mom, he muttered, voice tight. I could hear her, even from across the room, sharp, clipped, and full of judgment. Is it true? She snapped. Did you really lose the house? After all the effort we put into helping you get approved. He winced, throwing me a glance like he wished I'd vanish. It's complicated, he mumbled. We didn't lose it. He stopped, jaw clenching, but the hesitation said enough. I folded my arms, not about to let him twist the story. Go ahead, I said, loud enough for her to hear. Tell her I canceled the deal. Tell her why. His mom's voice hardened. What's she talking about? Why would she cancel your future home? I stepped closer so my voice carried. Because your son made it clear he was keeping his apartment just in case. He wanted an escape route before even walking down the aisle. I'm not tying myself to that kind of half-commitment. There was a pause on the line, then a sharp inhale. Is this true? She demanded. He rubbed his face with his hand, unable to lie. Yes, but it's not what you think. Oh, it's exactly what I think, she snapped. You've sabotaged your own engagement.
Oh.
Do you realize how this looks to our family, to the community? We vouched for you and now you've embarrassed all of us. He paced the room, furious. Mom, this isn't about appearances. This is between me and her. I cut in, my tone firm. With respect, this is about appearances. Marriage isn't just about two people. It's about the trust they build, the life they create, the family they invite into that circle. If he wanted to keep a backup plan, then maybe he's not ready for any of it. His mother's sigh was heavy, the kind that carried years of disappointment. You either fix this, or you'll regret it. She deserves better, and you know it. Then the line went dead. He tossed the phone onto the couch and whirled toward me. Are you happy now? You've turned my own mother against me. I met his glare without flinching. No, you did that the moment you chose your apartment over our future. All I did was pull back the curtain. The fight drained out of him as he sank into the chair, head in his hands. I didn't think it would blow up like this, he muttered. I softened my tone slightly, though I kept my stance. That's the problem. You didn't think at all? You wanted security for yourself, but never stopped to think how insecure that would make me feel. Marriage isn't about having a safety net. It's about not needing one. He looked up, eyes filled with something I hadn't seen before. Doubt, real piercing doubt, not just about me, but about himself. And for the first time, I wondered if he was capable of being the husband I thought he could be. The next morning, he showed up at my new apartment door. He looked ricked, hair unkempt, eyes bloodshot, suit wrinkled. For once, he didn't have that polished confidence he carried everywhere. Can we talk? He asked. Voice low, I let him in. He sat on the couch, hunched forward, rubbing his hands together. I canceled the apartment, he blurted. Called the realtor this morning. I don't want to back up anymore. I want you. I'll sign whatever you want. Prenup, joint ownership, counseling. Just don't walk away. I stayed standing, arms crossed. You only canceled because I found out. Would you have ever told me the truth if I hadn't seen the paperwork? He winced. Probably not. I thought I was being smart. Instead, I was being a coward. His honesty stung more than a lie. Marriage isn't about having a safety net, I said. It's about building something together and trusting that the other person isn't already planning an exit. He looked up, eyes glistening. You're right. I wasn't ready, but I want to be. Please give me another chance. For a moment, I considered it. We'd built years of memories, shared dreams, late nights, and laughter. But then I remembered the realtor's call during his bachelorette, smug smirk when he first announced his plan, the way my stomach had dropped. That wasn't the foundation of a marriage, it was quicksand. I picked up the engagement ring from the counter and placed it gently in his hand. You need to figure out who you are before you promise forever to anyone. I can't marry a man who keeps an escape route ready. His shoulders sagged, closed his fist around the ring, whispered, I'm sorry, and walked out. The silence that followed was heavy, but it wasn't crushing. I felt lighter, stronger. I hadn't lost a future, I had protected mine. Sometimes love isn't enough if trust isn't there. And that morning I chose trust in myself over empty promises. If someone's planning their escape before the vows, maybe they're not the one to build a future with. Choose trust or walk away. And if this story hit home, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more.